Hello, my name's Nathan and welcome to the 8th CocoLoco devlog. Now this is probably the biggest gap in devlogs I've posted compared to all the other ones, but since the last devlog I actually did a lot of work on the assets, primarily the drinks and some of the furniture. You can see some of the mugs have changed. I've added things like particle effects for the steam. You also probably noticed these two random seats. Although making a separate scene for like art tests so I could see what the things look like in the engine, I just popped them down here quickly one night and I guess I haven't really gotten in the way, so I haven't been bothered to delete them. But this is kind of like the first seat that people will get. You can see it's very run down. The game's story in my head, it's that this is a seat that you get off Facebook Marketplace. You buy a second-hand, run down, very cheap, or given out for free. And the 3 tiers of chairs have been modeled. The first one has been textured, the second one I'm in the process of, and the third one I'm still not 100% on the mesh, so I might still be working on it. And like many other of the game assets, I began to model and UV unwrap them. But I think it was around with the point where I was getting to like the final tiers of the chairs, I realized that I didn't have an upgrade system within the game. And then actually playing the game, I realized that there were a lot of elements missing that I thought, okay, I should probably step away from art for a little bit. I still did some art things. You'll probably notice, new logo. Yay! I didn't actually make this logo. This is actually Kenny on Twitter. He's done free game assets. He's awesome. I was able to get a spot where he was doing some logos. It wasn't a free one. I obviously paid money for it, but man, it was worth every single dime. The main crux of the problem I've been having recently has been with basically the order system. So for a long time now, I've had it working so that NPCs could make an order. It would go to the kitchen. This is where in future there'll be a barista who would actually make the drink and serve it to the table, but for now at least it spawns, the player can pick it up, give it to the NPC, and the NPC can leave. However, I want a UI system that will actually convey a lot of information. Basically when someone makes an order, it'll appear at the top of the screen, much like in Overcooked. But then my issue was that all these orders were going into this giant array and they weren't necessarily numbered. And for those who don't know, an array is just a collection of items, and so in this instance it's all the orders that the NPCs have made. But the issue I was coming across is in the code I'd actually need to somewhat order these items, and it was not necessarily working in the form of an array. I needed to reference those actual objects and see if they had a number themselves. Since they're being moved around a lot to different scripts, the order in which they were made wasn't being necessarily kept. So I basically needed to find a way in which I could keep their order number without getting muddled up. And so I've had to do a lot of research with C# and learning about lists and dictionaries and giving stuff classes and all this other fancy stuff. So when the item spawns, that goes to one script, but then also when that item needs to be put as a UI element at the top of the screen here, that goes to a separate script. And other things like when the player gives the NPC an item, is that the actual item they ordered or is that a earlier or later item? It's still the same item, like they're not getting the wrong item, but in terms of the order in which they were created, is an NPC that was still waiting for their item being given to another NPC and stuff like that. So basically all those things need to be reworked into the system so that when orders and stuff is happening, it's actually following along. And this UI system of orders, it's nearly complete. When the NPC is given their item, it disappears from off of the top of the screen. The only issue I'm having right now is with recalculating the position of each order. So when one goes off screen, for example, if there's 2 more behind it, I want those ones to move up onto the screen so that everything's kind of neat and tidy, there's no empty spaces. And for some reason, despite certain things being deleted and animations going, stuff isn't updating when it's meant to, but then it updates when other stuff's added, little confusing things like that. That issue, I think I can revisit later when we just need to polish things. For now though, things are working, which is good. Other stuff I've been working on is with menus. I've redone the main menu scene. It looks like this now. The main menu is going to be revisited in terms of its style, what it's going to have. The background will probably eventually change to be some sort of restaurant, cozy, wooden feel. Maybe that's what I'm going for. And on the side here, it's going to have art. So each time you scroll through a different menu item, so whether it's play the game, settings, gallery, either a collection of 3D models or images will pop up that will hopefully make the main menu feel alive and interactive and well polished. And so I'm just kind of setting that up now. So at least in terms of playtesting, which hopefully will be happening in a few months. I also, before that, did some work on the settings, trying to get remapping for keyboard and controllers working. Unity's system for this is not simple. I won't say it's complicated because you just got to read documentation and take your time to think that through. It's just a bit finicky. And so that's something else I want to visit. I also started working on saving data. I initially got that working with saving settings, saving the display, refresh rate, whether it's windowed or full screen. And then that kind of connects to the final few things I've been working on. And that has been the end day screen. So right now when the day finishes, text appears in order to say, here's your loss, here's your profit, here's your total, here's how much money you can spend. And then next I'm hoping to work on the actual upgrade system. When all that stuff's laid out, that's when we actually get the save data working properly between the scenes. So right now nothing's actually being saved in terms of gameplay wise, how much money you're making, what levels you're unlocking, since right now there's only one level as well. But I know, especially getting the save data working across the board, that's going to be a much bigger project, and I kind of want to have everything ready to be connected before I start trying to connect things, because it's better, I found, to have my mindset focused on one objective. So I'm just setting up the scenes so that all the UI is there. I just have to hook things up when things are ready to be written. It's a lot easier than having this scene here and then working on the game data and then working on the upgrade scene and then go back to the game data. It's better to have all those scenes ready to be hooked up to game data, working on game data, and then they're connecting everything. So that's what I'm trying to do with this process here. And one of my goals is to get this to play testing so that I can then probably work towards a PAX build. I would love to go to PAX this year. I've been saying this for the past 2 years, but this year I really want to work towards it because right now it's only March. It's going to be in October, September, and so I can work towards that. So my priority first is to get gameplay working with primitive elements. I don't care if there's no art, if I just use cubes or spheres or whatever, and then can turn those into actual art assets later. Speaking of which, I've been working on the player as well. I've been revisiting the rigging. I tried out several different tools for trying to make rigging easier, whether it is actually, placing out the bones or rigging it so that, you can use puppetry and stuff. For now, I'm still tossing up whether or not to just do it custom, because then at least I know all the working parts. And I've had issues with things like Rigify, as well as with Mixamo's auto rig tool. It doesn't necessarily work for me for some weird random reason. This is the player model for now. I'm going to be rigging her next, and then after that's going to be doing some texturing. And no promises next update, but definitely by playtesting, I think, is when I would like to have that character model implemented with the player. Another job that's still left to be done is the NPC queuing. It's bugged out on me again. So you probably saw them circle around and do random weird things. That's happened again, but it's because when NPCs leave, I want them to leave around the queue and not either walk into the queue, causing, a catastrophe, or awkwardly walking around. Like, it doesn't look natural for NPCs to just suddenly walk through the queue or walk around them in a very weird way. And so I'm trying to balance like nav agents with nav obstacles, both being on the same object, and switching them so that when they're moving, they're a nav agent, okay? They can walk around and move things. But when they're not moving, they're an obstacle because they're still, and we want everyone else to walk around them. And so between now and the next devlog, I'm gonna be working really hard on getting this game functionally work. If you're interested in small updates, then please do subscribe for shorts. I'll be doing little updates here, as well over my TikTok if that's a platform you prefer to watch short content. And yeah, hopefully in the next devlog we'll have something cool to show. Maybe a playtesting announcement, maybe just more issues that have come my way. But that's kind of the process of game development. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.